Hello. Could you maybe step away from the rempod real quick so I can keep telling the story? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Emmy Lou and I am a medium. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys one of my ghost stories. I don't have any creamer. But hi, hello, if you're new here, please like and subscribe if you like spooky, creepy content and want to know more about like spiritual, ghosty activities, because that's what I do here. I'm a medium and I speak to the dead, but I also use ghost equipment because it's fun.
Ooh, this is nice!
And I like to have like confirmation, you know, for you guys. So you know I'm not like being fake. I don't even know. This is the most proof I can proof besides my spirit box. But that bitch be dead a lot, so I need to get a real one. Right now I'm just using an app. I want the radio, but they're like expensive. Your girl be frugal, so I'll eventually get one. Just wait. But yeah, so today I'm going to be telling you one of my most scary ghost encounters. I don't get scared easily much anymore, probably because I've had so many spooky things happen to me. As I have grown as a medium and I've learned more, I've become a lot less frightful, and I've learned about energy and like being positive. So when I look back on this story, I'm like, oh dear Lord. I was so scared for like no reason. But I do have to say, this comes from a part of my life where I was constantly scared of things, and I just remember just being so spooked out constantly. So without further ado, I'm gonna have the REM pod on while I tell my story, just to see if anybody wants to come say hi. Okay. So as I get into this story, I have to give a little context. If you watched some of my previous videos, you might already know this about me, but I grew up in an old farmhouse. It was actually built in the year 1900 exactly. It's like a protected historic building, actually. Most of the property is like a big, huge, like giant field and like woods. Like a lot of my family will go hunting out there. Like it's a big wooded, foresty area. Okay, which is creepy in itself. Also, like the farther back at the end of the property, there was like a creek that like crossed through, so we would go out back and like play in the creek a lot of the times and stuff in the summer. My family has always been super big on like four-wheeling and stuff, so we had like four-wheeling trails out back, and like we were just all over all the time as kids. Hi. Hello. Could you maybe step away from the REM pod real quick so I can keep telling the story? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's nice to have you here. So this story kind of takes place like over intervals of time. So that's so the story goes over intervals. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Every time I keep trying to talk about the house, it like stops me. Okay. Anyway, so again, I was a very scared child. I would see stuff all the time living in this house. Like weird things would happen, stuff would move. I would have night terrors. I'd wake up and like see something standing at the foot of my bed. Like I was just like in a constant state of fear. I was sprinting everywhere in the house because I never wanted to be alone. I was just scared all the time. I don't know how else to explain it, except just I was just frightened constantly, to the point where like I annoyed my family a lot. Okay, my dog was like my best friend. I want to go to the bathroom at night without my dog coming with me because I was scared there. I was so scared. Now as an adult, the house isn't scary at all. It's definitely active and there's definitely ghosties there. Yeah, but like I know not to be scared of them. They're very sweet, kind spirits. Yeah, I know, but you spooked me. You spooked me as a kid. I was a frightened little bean. So this house was filled with spirits, but I'm just gonna be focusing on the one today. Yeah, I know. Could you please step away so I could tell my story? Thank you so much. I'm sorry. I'm acknowledging that you are here. Thank you. I'm not afraid of you anymore. I'm just bringing up some good old times, I guess. So looking back on this now, I get the feeling that this was all like these two spirits that did this to me. So growing up, me and my older sister shared a room for a while. I used to have an obsession with Barbie dolls, which honestly kind of transfers into the now, because like now I still have dollies. They're just haunted. They're just haunted now, which I guess they kind of were back then too. They would go off all the time in the middle of the night, and not in like a pleasant way. I mean battery dying, like demon horror flick sounds in the middle of the night. It used to scare the crap out of me and my sister. Both of us had a tendency to sleepwalk when we were younger, which once we moved out of the house, that never happened. Like I remember one time my sister like walking down the stairs, and she was obviously sleepwalking, and she like tried to like walk outside, and like we had to like move her. Like my mom got up and like ushered her back over to like a couch or something to sleep, and like made sure she stayed down. And then a few times I scared my grandmother one time when she was visiting, by sitting up in the bed. Or yeah, I believe I might be remembering this wrong because I was younger, but mine and my sister's beds were like next to each other at one point, and I remember my grandmother, or maybe it was my sister, I don't remember, to be honest, but there was somebody sleeping in this bed, and then my bed was right here, and I scared the crap out of them because in the middle of the night I just like sat up on the edge of the bed and just like stared at them. And I'm gonna have to ask them, because apparently I said something like really spooky that like creeped them out, and they had to like lay me back down in bed, and then they told me about it all in the morning. It might have been my sister now I'm thinking about it, but I don't know why. There had to have been another thing that happened to my grandma too. I just remember spooking some people out with like sleepwalking. So there was just a lot of activity. When my sister had finally moved out of the house, I noticed an increase of activity. We like comforted each other and like made jokes about things and act like it wasn't real. We were definitely like a comfort for each other. But my sister is 6 years older than me, so when she eventually moved out of the house, I was the only child there. I was alone. I experienced a lot of creepy things, but the one thing I wanted to focus on today is the most scared I have ever been on that property ever. I was about 14 to 15 years old, and in this story, I had a boyfriend that came over to my house, and we were riding four-wheelers around the property, which, humble brag, but I married this guy. Yeah. So he was over meeting my family, and we were riding four-wheelers. I took him out back, and we were riding all the trails and like going out to like, you know, the back creek and like just having fun and like mudding and stuff like that. We went back there and we sat down and we were just talking, you know, first date vibes, super cute, super romantic, highly recommend. And as we were back there, I just remember having a sudden shift in energy. I went from being so happy and in like a state of bliss and enjoying my time with him to being completely immersed in almost just straight dread and fear. Like I was terrified. And I remember at the time I was like convinced that there was wild animals out to come get us. Like I was scared. Like it was the feeling of you need to get out, you need to run. I was terrified, and I conveyed this, and it scared the crap out of him. So we got on our four-wheelers and started driving back up. And again, like the property was really big, so once we got out of like the wooded area, there was like this huge field and a while before we got up to the house. And I had pulled over and stopped because like I was starting to like have like a panic attack almost. Like I was hyperventilating and breathing weird, and I just felt just so much energy, and I was just terrified. So I stopped, I got off my four-wheeler, and just an FYI, he knew about like my ghosty stuff. I had already talked to him about it. He priorly knew all of the stuff that was going on with me, and that I was like scared at the house. Like we were pretty close at this time before he finally came over. I just remember getting off of the four-wheeler, and like he stopped and got off too, and I like went over to him, and I was panicked. I was having a panic attack. Like I felt my chest like almost collapse, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. Like there was something wrong with me. I felt like I was gonna pass out. And I told him, I was like, something is near us, something is around us, and don't know what it is, but I'm scared. And it was just like this big feeling of doom and dread. And I honestly, I don't even know how to describe it. Like I can't even get myself back into that mental state to like even, I don't know. It was just so scary. I don't know how to convey how scared I was. looking back on this and knowing what I know now, I definitely think if I wouldn't have been expressing this energy, this wouldn't have happened, because as I always say here, like, spirits feed off of your energy, and whatever energy you give out is the energy that they will give back. And I was terrified. I 100% know that if I were to go back in time and settle myself and breathe and tell myself everything was okay and look at the situation with a positive love and light vibe, which is harder done than it is to say, because like when you feel those emotions, sometimes it's like so easy to get swept up in them and not like calm yourself down, but you really have to just tell yourself things are okay. Otherwise things will get worse. Trust me. I know. As I was having this panic attack and I was basically in his arms, I turned around. I was having this panic attack and he was hugging me. And at this moment, I turned around to look at my four-wheeler, like I was finally starting to kind of calm down. And I saw an apparition of a man. So clear to where I thought it was a literal person. I thought it was my neighbor or something. And I still remember him to this day. Like he was like balding. He was like old. He didn't have his glasses on. He almost looked like rotting flesh. And I think that comes from like my fear of like zombies. I don't like them. But he looked like he was rotting. I remember he had like a plaid shirt on and overalls, and one overall was like unbuttoned and like broken down. He looked so scary. It was the scariest thing I have ever seen in my entire life. And I saw him plain as day, as if he was a person right there. And I fucking screamed. Again, you can imagine my boyfriend at that time was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm surprised he stayed with me, probably because I traumatized him. It wasn't like the guy was there that long. It was like I turned around, saw him plain as day, and it was like a blip, gone. Like I saw him, I saw the spirit, I saw the man, like this old farmer looking dude right there, like walking up to us. I screamed, closed my eyes, and he was gone. And I was like freaking out, panicking, and my husband was just like, absolutely not. Like, I don't know what this is, but you're not allowed to come near us. Like, you're gone. Like, you leave. Which is what I tell people to do as a medium nowadays. Like, you gotta calm yourself and do that. And that was his instinct. And 2 days later, I had gone over to meet his parents, and he had told his mom this story, which his mom was a medium and like did this stuff. This is part of the story where it gets really creepy and like solidified things and kind of moved me on the path of where I am today. It's such a confirmation is all I gotta say. It was so much confirmation. And she made me feel a lot better when I spoke to her about this. So I gotta focus, please. Thank you. She described two spirits that I had been seeing frequently of this old woman in my house and that old man. And she described it to me perfectly. And then she looked up the history of my house and found the original owners that lived there. And when I tell you, the picture of that man was a spitting image of the man that I saw that day. Also, at this point in time, I never told my boyfriend about seeing that old woman in my house, which she really wasn't a big part of the story for this. I was having dreams about her basically, but like that's not really like a ghost encounter, but I was having dreams about this old woman. I had told my boyfriend about this old man and that creep because he was there. I told him what I saw and I explained it. So a part of me was like, okay, makes sense for her to know about the old guy. But when she brought up the old woman and started talking to me about her, I had never talked to him about that. I've never told anybody about that. I didn't even tell you guys at the beginning of the story. Like, I was having dreams about this old woman. And she brought her up, described her to me, and I was like in a state of shock. Then she brought him up and described him to me, and I was in a state of shock. And then she looked up the history of the house, and it was them. It was them. She looked up their names. They were the original owners. They're the people that built the house there. And I never thought I was crazy ever again. But that is my scariest ghost story that I have. It was spooky ooky. He looked like a zombie. I've gone back there. They're very nice spirits and stuff like that. I was just getting myself worked up. He knew I could see him and was like, hey, want to talk? Yes. What? There's a lot of energy in the house now. They're like, oh my God, you're talking about us. I see stuff a lot of times, but when you see something and it's like physically there and you can't tell that it's like a person or a ghost, that stuff is spooky. And that was one of the spookiest things ever, because he was close to me. He was walking up to me, creepy looking, zombie like ugh. I was scared. That scared the crap out of me. But they're nice. They're nice people. They're just like, this is my house, you know. Time's passed. A very sweet couple. Like, yeah, super kind. Really like them. They just, I didn't know what the hell I was doing with the spirit world when I was a kid. So again, don't do any of this stuff if you don't know what you're doing and don't know how to get in that mindset, because then you'll be spooked and creepy things will happen and you'll think a demon's trying to get you when they're not. It's literally just a nice little old man. I was not giving him the energy to be pleasant, I guess, because I was spooked the fuck out. But yeah, so that's my story. I have more. Like, let me know if you want to hear more of my ghost stories, because I will be happy to share them. I have a lot. But yeah, I'm gonna end my video there today. If you guys want to share your own ghost stories down below in the comments, I will read them. I love reading about other people's ghost stories. It makes me feel less alone, you know. And I hope this, if you've ever experienced anything super creepy, I hope this makes you feel less alone too, because like, listen, I thought I was going insane when I was a kid. So yeah, we'll never think that again. I've gotten too much confirmation. Your experiences are valid. I love you. I'm sending you guys all love and light and positive energy and good thoughts and good vibes. And yeah, I love you guys. Bye.